Hey guys, how it's going? How's it going? It's been quite a while. As you can see, Black Ops 4. I was really excited for this game. The hype levels were beyond, and it didn't entirely deliver on that hype, and I kind of went dark for a good year. So I think in this video I'm just gonna explain. I think I'm gonna explain what I think Black Ops 4 is, how good it is, because it is pretty good, even though it's not quite up to par with the original Mob of the Dead and the original games of zombies, I don't think, but it's still solid. It's just not very, how do I say this, it's not very replayable. I don't know, I'll get into it though, but basically I want to try to explain the reason that no one's playing this game, the replayability is really bad, and the whole zombies community's basically died, including me. So let me try to get into it here. I'm going to put the video into 5 parts, okay? I'm going to describe what I think the 4 big things are of survival modes that they need to succeed. And then at the end, I'm going to mention like all the little extraneous things in Black Ops 4 that sort of bog it down and make it overall a worse experience. Okay, so a lot of this is going to be comparing to Mob of the Dead versus Blood of the Dead, since it's a pretty easy comparison of old zombies versus what it's become. But the first topic here is going to be sandbox features. So this is stuff like the perks, the guns, randomization features, and the side Easter eggs that you could do that could make each game different, basically. So in this game there's the new perk system, which is, I'll get into it, but the new perk system is pretty strange. And the guns as well, the guns in this game, the sound effect of the guns is, it's worse. And it's hard to explain really, but it's like, there are still cool guns in this game, like the AN-94 I just had, and there's a lot of bad guns that aren't any good at all. But even the cool guns, they just sound worse than they did in Black Ops 2's engine. No idea why. Guess it's just worse sound mixing or something. But they do sound worse, and besides the point, the guns, there's a lot less good guns that you could use that sort of, you know, for the sandbox, there's a lot less good guns that you could use, meaning you're not really varying your guns per game, you're using the same thing for the most part. And as well with the mystery box, there's not really much a reason to hit it, just to get the wonder weapon. And I mean, most maps you can get it another way anyway, so there's not really much a reason to hit the box. Most of the time you can just get a wall gun and then unlock the wonder weapon some other way and you'll be fine. And the side Easter eggs of this game, I don't know, how do I say this? The game is pretty easy compared to older zombies, and it's like you can just ignore all the side Easter eggs and you'll get to a high round since you're already so overpowered with the perks and stuff. So, speaking of perks, what do I think about the perks in this game compared to Black Ops 2? Well, this is like, I think it's a good idea having a lot of perks, but executed pretty bad, yeah. So what I would say is they definitely should have had so all the perks were on the map at once, like 15 different machines. Even though that would have been kind of cluttered, it would have been really epic to just go around and see perks everywhere and pick which ones you want mid-game. Just not being able to pick mid-game is a really horrible thing for the perks. That makes them feel a lot less like organic choices and more like things you gotta decide in 2 minutes before you start your game, just so you can get the game started. And about the perks as well, the balance isn't really there. Like Winter's Whale modifier, most overpowered perk by far. That thing is basically like half of God mode while you have Widow's Whale charges. And I know that's not even the name, but it is extremely powerful. And then you've got perks like Death Perception, Deadshot, Blood Wolf, the new Flaming Slide perk. There's so many, maybe like 10 out of 16 or about that many perks of this game are really bad, and a couple of them are useful, and then the winner's whale is just god tier. So overall, I'd say the sandbox element is a lot worse than Black Ops 2, just since there's not many good guns to use, where there were tons in Black Ops 2. And the perks are all, you know, you're kind of using the same thing every game. Let's be honest, Dying Wish, Widow's Wail, Stamina Up, Quick Revive, that's what most people run. And there's not really much reason to use anything else except in this footage where I've got Electric Cherry and PhD, just since it's mob, and that works really well with the Vitriolic Withering. But perk choice, not very good. Side Easter eggs, no reason to do them. Randomization, no reason to hit the box, really. Just overall, the sandbox element of this game is really lacking compared to Mob of the Dead. Second element is the second element out of the four things that a good sandbox needs. Sandbox is the first element. Sorry, I haven't done this in a while. The second element out of the four things a good survival mode needs is lots of epic stuff to use. And actually, this game does pretty well with that. As you can see, I call this thing the nuke launcher because it launches nukes. It is freaking beast. You got tons of epic perks in this game, wonder weapons, all that sort of stuff. I'd still say Black Ops 2 did a little better on that, but overall, the special grenades, the shield and stuff, really cool in this game. I just think that Mob of the Dead did better with the Afterlife, and the Vitriolic Withering of that game was better. It's just the cool stuff that you could use in Mob of the Dead was cooler than it is here, but stuff here is still pretty good. Third thing would be lots of epic enemies to fight. So this is like Brutus, or in Blood of the Dead, the Catwalk. And at Blood of the Dead, there's also like a lot of areas where you'll go through a fast travel, and there'll be a horde right there waiting for you. And actually, a lot of people don't like those, but I do. Those are actually pretty cool. Like when you go up the gondola, there's a whole horde waiting. There, you know, you could actually, if you understand that that's coming, you could prepare for it, and you'll be fine. You'll make it through it. It is really cool fighting all that sort of stuff in Blood of the Dead. And actually, I think this Blood of the Dead, this is probably the one category that it actually does better than Black Ops 2. Possibly. Just because of the fact that Black Ops 2, all you had really was Brutus. And, I mean, with Mob of the Dead, you had some cool stuff like getting the plane parts. There were lots of epic fights involved doing that, but after you passed like round 25, then there was nothing besides just a Brutus every couple of rounds. So there's a lot less variety in the enemies in Black Ops 2 Mob of the Dead. Now for the fourth thing, this is gonna be difficulty. Now mostly high round difficulty, but difficulty in general. And in the early rounds, this game is quite, easier compared to usual, since the first 4 rounds are free knife only. And then after that, once you've got a couple of perks, then it's not really much a challenge, 1 through 15. But that's, the easy rounds are always easy, kind of. So I'm not going to give it too much pressure on that. The big problem with the difficulty in this game, though, is the post-round 30 difficulty. Now, the fourth thing is the fact that the difficulty should get harder after round 30, which actually, even Mob of the Dead didn't do too well. After you passed 30, the only thing there was just the zombies and a Brutus every once in a while, like I said before. Not much there. And in this game, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, you get a couple more Brutuses, like 4 or 5 on the higher rounds, but it's not really much of a challenge. Now, the point I'm trying to get to here is that a good example of this is Modern Warfare 3 Survival. You would get like more and more juggernauts and helicopters like every round as you were going further in, and then you would basically, if you were going in casually, you would die by round 40 like most of the time. Like 95% of the time you'd be dead by 40. And I think that was a very good thing, because if I just want to jump in and have a quick game, not try too hard, I don't want to hit round 40. I want to die before then. But in this game, it's extremely easy to get there without even trying. And you don't even need the side Easter eggs or anything to do it. You can just survive, and you'll get to a high round. So what I'm saying here is, it should get a lot harder after, like, between round 30 and 40, it should start getting a lot harder. Even Mob of the Dead didn't really do this, so they're kind of both at fault. But yeah, I mean, there is the argument on round 56 the zombies start super sprinting, but that's kind of unfair in this game. It was like in World at War, the zombies would only hit. There were super sprinters. They would only hit you if you stood still, or if you were just walking. But so long as you were like sprinting away, they wouldn't get you. In this game, the zombies hit you while you're moving, and that combined with super sprinters is just it's just unavoidable. You're gonna get hit by a zombie if it's behind you, even if you're running away at full speed. There's nothing you can do besides just run Stamina Pro, which should not be forced upon you. So I think that's a really unfair way of doing it, and it shouldn't be ammo based either. Like, you shouldn't be running out of ammo on your thunder gun, and that's the way it gets harder. I think that you should still have like wonder weapon ammo, and just there needs to be harder things to fight that are going to kill you even while you have a fully stacked thunder gun on the higher rounds. Because as is, it's just run out of ammo and then you die. And while you've got wonder weapon ammo, you're basically invincible unless you play like a fool, which I'm going to do in a minute here and go down. But yeah, that was the fourth thing, which I think Black Ops 2 and 4 did just about equally. They were both pretty bad at. Black Ops 4 actually did slightly worse, since the early rounds are easy too. But difficulty-wise, both of them are pretty flawed. Anybody could just jump in and get to round 40, really. It's just a lot easier in Black Ops 4. And I think that if they actually did make it like MW3 Survival in the future games, so it gets like exponentially harder, around 30 to 40, then it'd really increase the replay value, and people wouldn't just quit of boredom like they do constantly with the way Zombies is right now. Now, Black Ops 4 would be like slightly worse than Black Ops 2, but still really good if it weren't for a lot of the things I'm about to bring up. So what I'm going to describe now, part 5, is the sort of extraneous features that this game just screws up horribly, and it just overall really bogs down the experience and makes things worse. So I'm going to start out with what I was most hyped for, the mutations and like the bot support. The bots, when you're using the bots, they literally just run around. They run around right where your location is, and they kill everything. So you don't really get the chance to play, in a sense, because you have basically three support soldiers around you at all times, making it incredibly hard to die, and you don't even have to shoot zombies anymore. So it's like, what's the point of playing that? It is cool for the first like 5 rounds, but after that wears off, you know, the bots end up getting stuck in corners or something, and then it just doesn't work anymore. And the mutations as well. It's just when you know that no one else is playing the custom mode you're playing, it's like, who cares what round you make it to, because no one else cares. You know, it's better when there's one definitive mode, and you can say, like, I got to round 30 on MW3 Resistance. You know, that's a statement that has meaning. I got to round 30 on Blood of the Dead with two bars of health. Not many people have tried that. Like, nobody has tried that. So it's like, no one cares about that statement. Just, the mutations kind of don't matter at all. The Gauntlet mode is alright. I mean, the thing about Gauntlets is it's really restrictive of how you play. So it's like you have to be ultra careful about how you spend your points and everything, what parts of the map you are when the round starts, knowing the challenges ahead of time. And it's just, it's too restrictive. It's not really much. Like, after you beat it once, there's not really much a reason to do it again, because you're just playing the exact same way and hoping not to screw up. And on top of that, it's just not as much fun to be forced to doing whatever the round requires you to do. And the rush mode, like I said earlier, a good survival mode's got to have epic stuff to use. Rush mode gets rid of like all of that. There's no wonder weapons, there's no special grenades, Rush basically is zombies without any of the Easter eggs or any of the cool stuff. And it's still alright, but it gets boring really fast just using the guns, which aren't really that good in this game anyway. So, what are other bad things about this game that sort of bog it down? There's the shield tortoise exploit you could just use for invincibility. Uh, like I said earlier, the perk balance is pretty bad. Winner's Will is just straight up overpowered. And the perks should be all on the map. They should all be obtainable, like a way to get more than 4 perks. In this game right now, there's just a way to get 5 on some maps, or maybe 6, but that's it. That is literally it. Like I said, the guns sound worse. They're not as cool. And the art design really varies. Like, some parts of this game look really good, but just some parts of it, you could tell the developers were just like, this area looks alright, let's just move on. They made some areas look amazing, some areas look really mediocre. The nuke launcher, as I call it, the rocket launcher, not the XM53, whatever it was, that thing is completely overpowered, and really the amount of ammo it has, it is kind of, for the fact that there's no really great bosses in the game, it is too much power, especially if you're playing on 9 and you can just knock out a whole horde of that with one shot and keep on doing that. And the Easter eggs, especially on Blood Up, the Easter eggs are far worse. The main Easter egg, extremely tedious, especially on solo. It is just a complete pain to do, not very much fun at all. And on Blood of Dead as well, they nerfed the Redeemer. They made it take way longer to recharge. It's harder to pick up power-ups, even though it still can. Kills less zombies usually. And the step of getting the Redeemer, the blue one upgraded, that is horrible. Killing zombies with the Retriever in that tiny area on the bridge, it is really, really bad. And just not fun at all. As well with some of the steps, like getting the golden spork is basically alright, but a lot of the side Easter eggs are just annoying to do. And another huge thing is, I don't know why Treyarch did it, but the Easter eggs can only be done online, which is the killer for me, because I wasn't planning on getting PlayStation Plus anymore, and it's like, oh, you don't want to do that? Well, we're taking out 70% of the game. Enjoy that, pal. Yeah, so basically you can't do any of the main Easter eggs. You can't turn on any of the songs. You can't get the Wonder Weapon manually on like 9 and stuff. You have to get it out of the box. You can't earn it. You can still earn it on Blood, luckily, but you can't like put in the code to get the Where Are We Going to play unless you're doing online. It disables a lot of the progression and stuff. There's just so much of the game is locked behind being online only for some reason. And there's on Blood of the Dead, there's also the Pack-a-Punch. I forgot to mention the Pack-a-Punch is incredibly annoying. It moves around every like 2 rounds, and it doesn't tell you where it goes. So you have to either move around the whole map without advancing the rounds, which is a chore, or you could advance the rounds while you do it, but then there's a good chance that the location you just checked it's going to pop up in, and then you're going to end up running around the whole map for like 4 rounds before you find it, and you're finally able to pack a punch. There should just be a light in the sky or something like Call of the Dead. It is really stupid the way Pack-a-Punch works on Blood of the Dead. And I didn't even mention all the stuff, but these are just a lot of things that really bog down this game. And it would have been slightly worse than Black Ops 2, a little bit worse, but it is a combination of all these little things that make it overall, I think, a lot, like significantly way worse than Black Ops 2, even Black Ops 3. And that's why I would consider this game to be maybe, it can be a good amount of fun at times, maybe 6 out of 10, but compared to Black Ops 2 My Blood Dead, that is like straight, I wouldn't say 10 out of 10, because I mentioned as fast as I choose, but straight 9 out of 10 material right there. So to recap a bit, the things that make this game worse than Black Ops 2 and original Zombies: the guns are mostly boring, lame, where they used to be really cool, and they all sound really weak for some reason. Even the cool ones, they sound really weak. The perks, they're all sort of forced onto you. I mean, you kind of have to use the overpowered ones, and so you end up using maybe the same 4 or 5 anyway. Whereas if they were all balanced better and you could choose them mid-game, you'd be using a lot more. There's no reason to do the side Easter eggs at all, since you already start out super overpowered, and it's just a waste of time, kind of. to be doing any side Easter eggs. Not really much of a reason to hit the box anymore, so the games are all kind of standardized, less random. Every game feels a lot more similar in this game than in older Zombies. The overall early round difficulty, far easier, far less tense. The atmosphere and graphics, way less inconsistent. It's a lot, you know, it doesn't always look very good. And even though I would say the music is still fantastic, but the graphics and sound effects are overall a step down for Black Ops 2. Even though the graphics are better, the art design overall is mostly mediocre, and there's no passion involved into it, and you can just tell that it's not the same. And that's basically about it, combined with all the other little stuff that makes the game worse. That's basically the reason it's worse than old Zombies. So that was my analysis of why Black Ops 4 and Blood of the Dead worse than Black Ops 2 Mob of the Dead and its predecessors. Tell me what you think, because this has really stumped me for a while and I'm not even sure this is the best conclusion I could come to. See you next time.